Welcome back, viewers. You're watching WION World is One. I'm Shivan Chandna. This is Speed News. Let's start. Russia's defense ministry has reported that it downed 251 Ukrainian drones overnight in one of Kiev's largest counterattacks since Russia-Ukraine conflict years ago. The ministry said air defense systems intercepted and destroyed 40 drones over Crimea, 62 over the Black Sea and other drones across the Kursk and Belgorod region. US President Donald Trump has urged quick action to end the Gaza war that comes as indirect peace talks between Hamas and Israel are set to begin in Egypt. The talks come after Hamas agreed to parts of a US-backed 20-point peace plan, that is, including the release of hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners held in Israel. While Hamas did not address disarmament, sources suggest that the group may agree to surrender weapons under global supervision. US President Donald Trump has supported Russian President Vladimir Putin's offer to stick to nuclear weapons limits. He has called it a good idea. President Putin recently said that Russia is willing to follow the limits set by the 2010 New START treaty. If the US agrees to do the same, that treaty is set to expire in February. If both sides move forward, it would be a rare sign of cooperation. Relations between the US and Russia have been tense in recent months, specifically following reports of Russian drones entering NATO airspace shortly after Trump and Putin met in Alaska back in August. President Trump has revealed that US forces had struck another vessel off the coast of Venezuela, which was suspected of carrying illegal drugs. He added that the US would now also focus on tackling drug trafficking on land. Speaking at Naval Station Norfolk near the USS Harry S. Truman, Trump highlighted the Navy's recent operations, mentioning that they had successfully taken down several drug cartel targets in recent weeks. Australia and Papua New Guinea have officially upgraded their relationship to an alliance with the signing of a historic mutual defense treaty. The agreement commits both nations to safeguard each other's sovereignty and democratic values. Leaders emphasized that security in the Pacific is a collective responsibility. The death toll from the Indonesian school collapse has risen to 54, with at least 13 people still missing. The multi-story Islamic boarding school on Java Island collapsed last week as students gathered for afternoon prayers. Officials say poor construction may have caused the disaster. Families have agreed to the use of heavy machinery after hopes for survival faded beyond the 72-hour mark. Investigations into the collapse are ongoing. Police are investigating a shooting in Sydney's inner west after a man allegedly fired up to 100 bullets, injuring 20 people on Sunday evening. Police have arrested a 60-year-old man and seized 2 rifles. The accused shooter was taken to hospital and treated for minor injuries to the area around his eyes sustained during his arrest. No charges have been laid against the alleged gunman yet. Argentine politician Jose Espert, an economist and ally of President Javier Milei, has resigned from his candidacy for national deputy. This comes amid allegations of ties to a businessman accused of fraud and drug trafficking in the US. Esper admitted that in 2020 he received $200,000 from a mining company connected to an accused businessman. However, Esper denied that the payment was intended for campaign financing. He insisted it was for consultancy work. President Milei has expressed his support for Esper despite the scandal. British police are investigating an arson attack on a mosque in Peacehaven. The fire caused major damage to the building and a nearby vehicle. Though no injuries were reported, Sussex police called the act appalling and reckless, saying that it has shaken the community. The incident comes just days after a deadly attack at a Manchester synagogue, where 2 people were killed. The suspected attacker, a British man of Syrian descent, was shot dead by police. Authorities believe that he may have been motivated by extremist Islamist ideology. Hundreds of animal rights activists protested in Mexico City against the sale of animals at the Sonora market. Wearing costumes and holding banners, protesters accused vendors of selling both farm and exotic animals, violating animal protection laws. They called the market's practices an injustice, emphasizing that animals suffer the most while having the least rights. They also stated they were fighting for the protection of all animals, not just those sold at the market. Vendors observed the protest, with some throwing eggs at the demonstrators. For the 9th consecutive night, young Moroccans are protesting in the streets of Rabat, demanding an end to the corruption and a government overhaul. The rallies, organized online by the anonymous Gen Z 212 collective, have spread across the country since September 27th. Protesters are calling for better education and improved healthcare for all. Somali government forces have successfully ended a 6-hour siege by militants at a major prison. They have killed all 7 attackers. The Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab group claimed responsibility for this attack. No civilians or security personnel were killed. The assault occurred just hours after the government lifted long-standing roadblocks in the capital. Roadblocks had been in place for security, but were criticized for disrupting traffic and commerce. Despite the siege, no prisoners escaped from prison. The attack comes as government forces, aided by militias and African Union troops, continue pushing Al-Shabaab out of key areas. RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat has called for the return of an undivided India. During an event in Madhya Pradesh, Bhagwat emphasized the need to reclaim territories currently under Pakistan's control. His remarks come amid growing unrest in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, where violent protests have erupted against Pakistani rule. Over the past 3 days, at least 10 people have been killed and more than 100 have been injured as Pakistani security forces opened fire on demonstrators. Analysts suggest that Pakistan's reliance on repression is deepening this local resentment. Two wildfires have burned nearly 400 hectares in France's northern Corsica. Authorities deployed around 180 firefighters, 50 vehicles and 4 aircraft to fight the blazes. Officials suspect the fires may have been started deliberately, describing them as possibly the work of human hands. The situation remains under close watch as crews continue battling the flames. In India, at least 24 people, including children, have died after relentless rain triggered one of the worst landslides in a decade in the Darjeeling Hills and surrounding areas. Officials say the landslide swept away homes, cut off roads, isolated villages and left hundreds of tourists stranded. According to reports from the National Disaster Response Force and local district administrations, fatalities were reported from multiple locations, including Jasbirgaon, among others. Rescue operations are underway on the remote Tibetan slopes of Mount Everest, where a snowstorm has trapped nearly 1,000 people at a campsite on the mountain's eastern side. Local villagers and rescue teams are working to clear snow, blocking access to the high-altitude areas, which sit over 4,900 meters above sea level. Local media report suggests that around 350 people have been rescued, with contact made with over 200 more. Eyewitness videos show hikers wading through deep snow in poor visibility. Nepal is on high alert after days of relentless rainfall which triggered deadly floods and landslides. According to the armed police force, floods have killed at least 52 people in the past 24 hours. 8 rivers have surged past danger levels, with 12 more above the alert mark. Provinces like Koshi, Bagmati, Madhesh, they face rising flood threats. The Department of Hydrology and Meteorology have issued a red alert for areas near the Bagmati and East Rapti rivers. Indonesia has revoked its suspension on TikTok's local operating license after the Chinese-owned social media platform shared data requested by the government on its live streaming activity during recent deadly protests. On Friday, Indonesia's Communication and Digital Affairs temporarily suspended TikTok's license, citing a violation of obligations as a private electronic system operator. TikTok had initially refused to provide complete data on user activity during the August 25th to 30th protests, citing internal policies, but later cooperated with authorities to lift the suspension. The European Union is set to launch a new AI strategy aimed at reducing its reliance on foreign artificial intelligence providers and promoting European-made AI platforms. The European Commission's new Apply AI strategy will promote European-made AI tools to improve AI usage in sectors including healthcare, defense, and manufacturing. The move is part of Europe's broader plan to bolster digital autonomy, following initiatives like the Jupiter supercomputer to close the AI gap with the US and China. Discord, a free voice, video and text communication platform, has disclosed that one of its third-party customer service providers has been hacked, and the hackers have gained access to limited user information like names, emails, as well as scanned government photo IDs, among other data, and attempted to extort money from the company. According to the company, the unauthorized party accessed data from users who had contacted Discord's customer support or trust and safety teams, but did not breach Discord's systems directly. Discord emphasized that full credit card numbers, CVV codes, and passwords have not been impacted by this breach. OpenAI and Apple's former star designer Johnny Ive are reportedly facing significant technical issues as they race to launch a secretive palm-sized artificial intelligence device next year. According to a report by Financial Times, the company is struggling with lack of computer power to support the device's always-on features and challenges in defining the AI's personality and privacy behavior. The screenless handheld gadget is meant to interact with users through voice, camera, and sensors, but its development has hit technical and philosophical roadblocks. A study published in Nature Finds, a British scientific journal, warns that AI tools like ChatGPT could make people more dishonest. The study says that humans find it easier to tell a machine to cheat for them, and the new AI tools are more than happy to comply because they do not have the same psychological barriers which prevent humans from carrying out these kind of tasks. The study further suggests that as AI agents become more accessible, users without technical expertise may increasingly use machines to perform tasks they would otherwise consider unethical. Bitcoin crosses a fresh record over the weekend on prevailing optimism around October buoyed the world's largest cryptocurrency. Thanks to fresh inflows into Bitcoin-linked ETFs, the OG token surpassed its previous record on August 14th and reached a high of $125,689 on Sunday. Investors' fears of the economic impact from the US government shutdown pushed them into safe haven assets. Market players have started to refer to that move as the debasement trade. Bitcoin is crashing in on the trend. Adding to the bullish sentiment is Bitcoin's historical outperformance in the month of October, which has earned the nickname October. Silver prices have risen 48% to mark one of the best years since 1979. Now, this comes as gold exceeded $3,900 per ounce for the first time in history, while silver hit $44.5 per ounce, the highest level in 14 years. The boost is coming from signs of a weakening economy as the US government shutdown extends. Risk bears see investors as very complacent about the shutdown, with most assuming it will be wrapped up in under 2 weeks. But there doesn't seem to be substantive movement towards a compromise. And that is keeping traders betting big on gold with $4,000 in sight. Gold marked a 7th straight weekly gain and it is up nearly 50% this year. But silver is up 61% over the past 9 months and is quietly outpacing gold. The global debt is surging at unprecedented rates, with the debt to GDP ratio in 6 of the group of 7 nations above 100% and rising. Japan has a 240% debt to GDP ratio. US, Canada, Italy, France and the UK are near or above 100%. For 5 of the G7 countries, debt is set to surge further by 2030. The US faces the biggest risk currently. The country's debt is at a record $38 trillion and counting. And what's not helping is President Trump's signature tax cut plan. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that will add $3.4 trillion to the national debt. Interest payments alone crossed $1 trillion this year and account for 17% of the federal budget. Luxembourg leads Europe with 80,000 euros GDP per capita, but can it keep the crown in the next decade? Over the past decade, Europe has seen dramatic shifts in living standards. Eastern and Balkan countries like Serbia, Croatia and Romania surged ahead with over 25% to 50% growth. Ireland posted an eye-watering 75% plus, though inflated by multinational profit shifting. And then there's Luxembourg with steady 15% plus growth. It remains unmatched at the top, posting a real GDP per capita above 80,000 euros. Prosperity and quality of life here are second to none.